Good evening and good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to a class of yoga at Yogareal. And I'd like to welcome everyone here, teachers and regular students who have come along today to do a class for everyone out there. At the moment we have students all over the world and all over Australia and everywhere, and always wanting to keep the connection with us. And also to introduce new students to a holistic practice of yoga, which in Yogareal it's working with not just the postures, but the postures so that you can release the breath, lengthen the breath and get the breath to flow, rise and fall naturally and smoothly, and then automatically the consciousness, the awareness starts to open out, and patterns in the mind that restrict, that hold, that limit a person start to just dissipate, disappear. Let's come to a standing position. We'll start in front of the mat. So we always start in front of the mat in Tadasana or Samasthiti, here depends on which tradition you're in. But Tadasana, the mountain pose, which is a stable, strong posture but passively active. So you're relaxed but aligned and active, present. So you look directly forward. We'll do it with the eyes open today, eyes open. So you can tune into what's happening in your body. Your kneecaps are drawn, your toes are touching, big toes are touching the front of your mat. The thighs are engaged, so the kneecaps are drawn up. The back of the knees are filled out, so the hamstrings are engaged, inner ligament of the knee. And to do this, you have to work deep abdominals in your pelvis, and also the back of the pelvis, you work the glutes or the buttocks. And then you take your weight back to the heels as if you're going to topple over, but engage the arches of the feet. So you push down on the pads of the big toe, and from toe by toe from the centre you work out to the outside, pushing down, and you work the arches, your weight's back to the heels, you grip the tailbone, tuck it under, and you tuck the bottom ribs back, both at the same time. This creates Uddiyana Bandha, the bandha of lifting the energy up. So instead of the body collapsing, the energy collapsing, the energy lifts up inside. And try and breathe from that foundation. So the breath is very deep here, the downstroke of the breath, the exhale, and the inhale comes right up to here, because your breath is a pendulum effect. And your weight's back to the heels, you're working your feet as a counterweight, and the alignment is your heels to the pelvis and up to the shoulder girdle. And we'll start with a couple of Oms to open the heart and just open everything to energy and consciousness. Hands in prayer position. Exhaling. Inhale. And again. Enjoy the practice, breathe the whole time, inhale, exhale through the nose. If something worries you, sit that out, or give an alternative if you've got time. If you're worried about something, just omit it. If there's damage in your body or if something makes you anxious, just omit it. And removing blocks. And we're up and running. Enjoy. Exhaling, slow salutes, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Right foot back. Start off with the right side, exhaling. Hands down, down face dog. Pushing back. And for the new beginners, we'll look at the down face dog, so dropping onto your knees. Everyone sit back on your heels. Your down face dog, common posture in yoga. Basically creating length through here and long spine and long hamstrings, and it's a symmetrical posture from the front to the back, a triangle shape. So if you sit back on your heels, you take your hands out front, the width of the hands, same width as the shoulders, hands are slightly turned in, and the fingers and thumb are spread symmetrically. This will work in a line through the arm, right down to the navel, and right up here so the shoulders roll back. And from here, I'm going to come into cat pose, knees hip with the butt, feet hip with the butt, and I turn my toes under, inhale, exhale, I push back into down face dog. Now for new beginners, I'll probably be a little tight, so it'll be like this, it'll look like this. So to enable that length to come, you bend the knees and you move the chest through to the best that you can. This will create length through the side waist, which will primarily then create this length through here, through the psoas muscle up through the chest. This will roll back and this will drop, and then the neck will be able to extend through. Bend the knees if you're tight in the hamstrings, but if you're more open, then you can straighten the legs, but don't shorten the length of the spine. So here it is here. If you're a bit like this, you work the spine, and then slowly you start to straighten the legs, but if everything collapses, then you keep that, and you keep the action here. And breathing. Alright, let's do that together. So we hands out in front. You can see the hands, and from here, cat pose. Knees hip with the butts, feet hip with the butt, and turn the toes under. Inhale, exhale, push back down, face dog. Push, stretch, and breathe. The ears line up with the upper arms, and you project the crown of the head towards the space between your hands. Push, breathe. And then right foot stepping through. Exhale and descend. It's a lunge, so the knee comes over the ankle and the foot slightly turned in, so you work the pad of the toe and the arch and the heel, which will work the back groin. You're trying to get the pelvis underneath, you're trying to get a lot of length through the front. Basically the shins parallel to the back thigh. And then hands down, and down face dog. Stepping forward. There. And exhale, down face dog.
Just testing it.
Inhale, coming up. And exhale. Alright, second side, left side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Left foot back. Exhaling, descends. Hands down. Down face dog. And left foot through. Exhale. Hands down, stepping forward. Toes touching at the front of the mat. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, forward. Inhale, coming up. And exhale. Alright, we'll go to the second side. The first side again with cobra. So cobra, we're trying to get the pelvis through. You're trying to get a lot of length through here. Trying to get the shoulders to roll back and these muscle groups to drop. And you're working the triceps and inner arm to here. Alright, so let's go again. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Right foot back. Exhaling, descends. Hands down. Down face dog. And dropping onto the knees. Elbows under the shoulders. You try and get a fluid movement as you come through. As your hands are out in front of the shoulders, they can be off the mat a little, it doesn't matter, feet are together, and squeeze the toes, heels, ankles and knees, everything together at the back and the legs, and try and lift your chest. Elbows into the front. And you're trying to get the chest, a lot of length through the front of the body, shoulders rolling back, elbows in close. If you're tighter, you take your arms further out in front, your hands further out in front. And as you lift, the neck will clear itself. Exhale, coming down, hands back a little, down face dog. And right foot stepping through. Exhale. Hands down, stepping forward, toes touching, inhale. And exhale. Inhale, coming up. And exhale. Left side with cobra. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Left foot back. Exhaling. Hands down, down face dog. And dropping onto the knees. Elbows. Fluid movement as you come through. Elbows touch the sideway. And squeeze the legs before you lift. Once again, elbows into the trunk, a long length through the front and releasing the back. Trying to get the pelvis through. And exhale coming down. Down face dog. And left foot through. Exhale. Hands down, stepping forward, toes touching as you inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale coming up. And exhale. How are we all going? Pretty good? Good? All good? No problems. A little bit of a shake just to release any tension and get the breath to breathe a bit freer. Feet hip with the part, bend the knees. Hey, feeling good already. It's important that the neck doesn't catch, especially if this part is not open enough and this doesn't bend in here, that it will tend to go like this and catch a little in the neck, especially the cobra, coming through and into cobra. Alright, first side again. Do a couple of different hand positions. In this, when you come up, you're trying to tuck your tailbone under, tuck your bottom ribs back and pull the shoulders down. So it's not like you come up and you drop into your lower back. Trying to tuck under, tuck back, take your weight back to the heels and pull the shoulders down. If you need to, you bring your hands further forward. The tendency is this to happen, or this to happen. So the lower back collapses and this is too far forward. This means the breath doesn't go here and therefore you can't get into here, so therefore you can't work the legs. First side again. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Right foot back. Exhale. Hands down, face up. Once again, knees, elbows, inhale. Squeeze the legs, lift, elbows into the trunk, hold. Exhale. Dog. Right foot. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So tuck under, tuck the bottom ribs back, pull the shoulders down, and exhale. Keep breathing as you do that. Second side, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, left foot back. Exhale. Dog. And knees, elbows, through. Exhale. Dog. Left foot. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. All right, we're going to add a few things to enable you to work the shoulder girdle a little more and get more action here, drop here, and lengthen the head, and also to get the action in the legs. Harder to get the action in the legs because the breath has to come in from here, get all the way to here, the bulky muscle groups have to release to get the action in the legs. There's an inner rotation of the femur bones. So this band here comes around, you get an inner rotation. So if you stand with your feet, big toes on the mat and heels off, there are two mats, so you've got the top mat, stagger yourself. So in this will give you the correct action angle to be able to work the insides of the legs. So to lift out in your dog, there's an action like this. Your breath is here, pushing down, lifting out here, and there's an action with the hips. This band here spreads around, comes around, you get an inner rotation of the femur bone. You push down on the pads of the big toe in here, and therefore lift out. This is what you're after. The tendency will be this a bit. So by opening the feet a little wider, you get access to the groins, so you get access to the inner line of the leg. Therefore you can release the outer, which are the bulkier muscle groups, and you get more of this pivoting effect. So deepening the groins, lengthening the side waist, sharpening the sitting bones, and getting more length through the front of the body, and hence releasing the back. So when we go back in the dog this time, we're going to take the feet this wide. And try and push your heels to the floor, which means that they'll get more length through here, and all of those things will be amplified. If you can get the heels to the floor, then you try and push your head through to the floor. It's hyperextending both a little bit. You work both ends of the breath. You get into here and you get into here. All right, let's see how we go. First side, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Right foot back. Exhale. Dog. Feet to the edge of the mat from exactly where they are. Toes on, heels off, and push your heels down. So if you get enough action in the Achilles, then you push your head to the floor without moving any. Straight arms. The arms will bend a little, but head to the floor. And then bring your head back up, bring your feet back in, and dropping onto the knees again. Elbows, fluid movement coming through, and hands out in front of the shoulders. Now you can turn your toes under, toes turned under, toes together, heels together, knees together. And you can lock the legs in and have the knees off the floor. By activating the back of the legs, the hamstrings, then you won't be able to lift as high, but the action will be more definite in the hips and therefore the shoulder girdle. Lifting elbows in close. Legs locked in, heels together, knees together. You have to push harder and lift more. And this will be more active in the pelvis and more active in the shoulder girdle. And release more of the bulky muscle groups. And exhale. Hey, keep coming down. And the heads back a little down face down. We're all exhausted. Right foot through, nothing like a bit of free empty. The mind likes to get out, awareness likes to stay there. Descending, let's take the back foot with the same hand. So we're changing a few things here just to bring in different dimensions. Okay, so this works more shoulder girdle rolling back. It's a little bit distorted, twist to one side. So let's take one hand to the outside, the other hand, and edges of the hands together and chest through. So this is a relationship between the pelvis and the shoulder girdle. And you more work the inner line through the arms, especially if you can get the edges of the hands together. And exhaling, coming out, stepping forward. Yes, forward is it. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Tuck under, tuck back, pull the shoulders down. Exhale. We'll go through the second side and then we'll move on. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Left foot back. Exhaling. Hands down, down face dog. Same again, feet to the edge, big toes on, heels off. And push the heels to the floor. And then head to the floor. Breathing. And then coming back up, feet back in. Same, dropping under the knees. Elbows, coming through, fluid movement. And again, cobra with the knees together, toes turned under, so you work more the hamstrings. Exhale. Dog. Left foot through. And we'll go to the back foot with the same hand to start with. So this works the arch of the front big toe more. And then one hand on either side. Edges of the hands together. toes touching, inhale, and exhale. Inhale. Tuck under, pull the bottom ribs back, pull the shoulders down, stretch up, breathe, exhale. Alright, do the shake again. Some Series A salutes to the sun, which quite classical in the Ashtanga. Starts off with the Ashtanga starts off with those. A lot of other forms of yoga work those two. So you need to have this under, you need to have this back, and you need to have this long, and the bandha's locked in. So, and the heels are pushing back. So you go into the plank, and then you'll lower, the elbows will touch the side waist, so this will stay parallel. The tendency will be this. This is because the glutes grip, this shortens, this tucks back, and these grip. So you're wanting to keep this long up here, this long, this tucked back, and therefore the bandhas here. So breath is predominantly here and working to here, while this is stable and lifting up here. So we go to plank and then lower. I encourage you only to go to the depth that you can, and then elbows touch the side waist. This will be the tendency. So elbows touch here, and then when you have gone as far as you can, then you roll over your toes. So it's the action of the ankles, action of the pelvis, and action of the shoulder girdle all at the same time, in coordination with your breath. All right, let's go. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Right foot back, left foot back. So plank one, straight line. Heels are pushing back, legs are locked in. And you lower, elbows touch the side waist, and you go as far as you can. Roll over your toes. Heels rolling in and roll back. Roll back over your toes. And step into the hands, right foot, left foot, look forward, and exhale. Inhale, tuck under, tuck back, pull the shoulders down, and exhale. Okay, so the tendency is to drop in the back here, and in the back of the legs here, not to work, and the buttocks to just to grip. So, how do we go? Yeah? So you develop your own rhythm for that, so that you, as you get more open here, and this comes through more, you get the relationship of the pelvis and the hips come down in parallel. That way you're working your breath and finding your breath. We'll do one more, stepping back to the left side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Left foot back. Right foot back. Same again, plank, heels pushing back. And lower. As far as you can, elbows touch the side waist, roll over your toes, roll the heels in, and let the heels touch, turn the eyes to the arms in, roll the shoulders back. Roll back over your toes. And then step into your hands, left foot, right foot looking forward, exhale folding. Inhale coming up, tuck under, tuck back, pull the shoulders down as you breathe, and exhale. Good. Alright, so we've got that represents the plank going into your crocodile, represents the side plane, tucking under, tucking back, and both the strokes of your breath. This is pushing down, this is lifting up. We'll do one more, and then we'll do a few bits through Anandasana, through the side plane, to give you the reference in a more static position, with the heels pushing back. Alright, let's go one more. Exhale, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, stepping back, right foot, left foot, plank, and lower. Exhale. Roll over, heels roll in, and roll back. And let's drop onto the knees, pose of the child. Couple of breaths. Alright, I'm going to add a couple of bits in down face dog and then just to work a bit more, work the inner lines a bit more. Inner lines with its insides of the legs, insides of the arms. So to give you a reference of the inside of the leg, we're all going to take a big block and put it in here. This draws the breath from your pelvic floor inside the inside of the legs and helps to release here. Your IT bands, your glutes, and work more the inner leg, which is soft. This is soft, this is overdeveloped. So in this, you try and push your heels to the floor in the normal width of your down face dog. So from the top of the calf, you're trying to push down. From the top of the calf, you're coming up into the sitting bones. All right, let's see how we go. So hands out in front. Turn the hands in and turn the toes under. Inhale, exhale. And push your heels to the floor in your down face dog, where you are. Breathing. Push, push hard. You'll find that you won't be able to push your head through as far, but the head, the ears line up more with the upper arms. This is where it's supposed to line up, and the crown of the head projects to the space between your hands, and breathing. Another 3 breaths. 1, 2, 3, and dropping onto the knees. Take the block out, sit back on your heels. How do we go with that?
Good.
Good. Huh?
Lighter.
Lighter.
Longer.
Lighter, longer. Lighter, longer. Lighter for longer. If the posture becomes lighter, then you go more into the breath. It takes the bulkiness out of the muscle groups, which is what you're after. And if the energy flows through, then you become lighter. And for body longer?
Body longer, energy longer.
Energy longer. More definite flow of energy. This is what you're after. From the base of the spine to the crown of the head, you want this to happen.
Breath longer.
Huh?
Breath longer.
Breath longer. Breath down, up, and more symmetric, as it should be. So it means the yoga is happening, which is the breath is moving. Let's do one more, and then we'll move on. So it's good to do a few things like this because it'll bring all those themes into play and will make your overall energy more dynamic, stronger, more like lighter, finer. You'll tune in more to your breath, the rise and fall of your breath. All right, let's go again. Same thing. Lock in. And hands out in front. Inhale, exhale, toes turn under. Push the heels down again. About 8 or 10 breaths. Work it. And once again, dropping onto the knees. Take the block out. And just sitting. Hands like so, just letting the energy flow. Bottom jaw soft, eyes soft, and observe. The more you can soften the bottom jaw and the eyes, the more you can just observe energy flow all the time. But it's a matter of remembering. The mind wants to keep overriding. And gently opening your eyes. Good. Alright, so that's predominantly by getting the downstroke of the breath deeper down and enabling you to suck back more, which it does by having the blocking here. Then the upstroke of the breath comes back up higher. So it's back up to where it should be all the time in Cobra. This means that the front of the body is longer and the back is released. Normally the back's tight like this and the front's short. So now we're going to go the other way and put a block under here in the dog to take the energy through into the crown of the head, which then works the other way, brings the breath higher up here. So we're going to put the block about here, and hands about here, and about the line of the brow here on the front of the block. So you have to get your spacing right. Block's on edge. And from here, project the crown of the head between your hands. Let the hairline just rest on there. Pull the shoulders back into the trunk and push the heels to the floor.
And this, particularly after what we've done with the block between the thighs, enables you to work both ends of the breath more. You can rest the head so you don't hyperextend the shoulder girdle, but you can then project the end of the spine, the crown centre, towards the hands, and this will lengthen the spine. Another 3 breaths. And once again, dropping onto the knees, point the toes, sit back, and 2 breaths.
Bottom jaw, soft eyes, soft, letting the energy just move through. You feel it, the energy just flow through, flow back. And gently open your eyes. How did we go with that one?
Good.
Yeah, all good? So, particularly in the shoulder girdle, you're after the cobra effect, and you want these muscle groups to drop and the head to lift out. The tendency, as I say, when the arms are like this, is to go, it ends up like this. Because there's not enough length through here, the breath won't come up here, these won't drop, and the shoulder girdle is used to being tight. So when you're dog, you want this action here. And you want, therefore, and this will suck back to get this. So this is what you're after. Everyone happy with that? Cool. Alright, Anandasana. So using those same things, that's in your dog, that was in the plank. You could use the block in different ways, so I'm going to move on. And Anandasana through the side plane, which will give you the ability to get from here into here and work your body this way. So we're going to go here, you go like here, toes back to the shins, feet together. You're right on the sides of the hips, looking up, hands here, legs are locked in. You keep the outer heel down here, and you keep the tailbone moving into the heel. So this means that the pelvis is neutral from the back, and you have to keep the bottom ribs tucking back, otherwise you fall forward. And then you just scissor the leg to start with, and down. So it's releasing here and getting into here. Scissoring, and down. Same again, scissoring, and down, and last one, scissoring and down. We'll do this a few times and we'll add a couple of other things. So Sarah, you go, set up on that side. Take it slowly, keep the alignment, and add heel down, so you have to work the inside of the leg, you have to release the hand directly above the shoulder, so it gives you the reference to where vertical is. That's it. And you're scissoring the leg, so you're not rolling it out at this point. Stay there for a couple of breaths. Get used to the outer muscle group releasing and the inner working, the tailbone's tucking under the whole time, the bottom ribs are tucking back. Very good. So at this point, you go the same and you roll the leg out and you take the shin towards your hand. So now you're opening the face of the hips. You take the foot all the way up. If you can grab hold of the toe. Keep the toe towards the hand. So as you get closer, you'll distort more, and the tendency is you'll tend to drop that. Toe towards the hand. If you can, you grab hold of the toe. If you're more open, you can take your elbow in front of the knee and pull the leg down in line with the shoulder. If you're more open, you can still take hold of the heel of the same leg, the upper leg, and grab that and move it down so it's open a bit more hand in front, elbow. That's so releasing the outer leg, getting into the inner, through the hip work. And sort of slowly does it too, you go too quickly, the body will fall forward or back. Set up on the other side. So make the alignment as straight as you can, side plane, inner line through the legs and side plane. So you keep your stability while you create the opener. Scissors to start with. Lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. And go down a few times just to release. Up. A lot of muscle groups have to release before you get the inner line, and then it keeps opening open. And down. You go up. If it's there for you, roll the shin out, shin towards the shoulder. You take hold of the toe if you've got that. And you can move the elbow in front of the knee, keeping the alignment through the side plane. If you're more open, take hold of the heel. And keep open. The beauty of these postures is self-adjustment. You go too far, you fall out. So you have to keep the alignment. You have to keep the squareness while you open, you open, you open. Alright, and release it. And just roll on your back from where you are, have a shake and just let everything go. Make some sounds. Sounds will take you very deep, they're cathartic. Words will take you just to keep you on the surface or keep you in the level of the mind. The sounds will take you deep into the unconscious and release patterns and themes that are holding patterns. They're far, far deeper, they're more instinctive level than just a mental level. Alright, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to take hold of the top toe. So it's like the top part of the posture is the back bend, and the bottom part you retain the side plane. So we'll go to the first side again. I'll demonstrate it. It's like set up the same. We've got good openings. You know that the body's, incorporated the side plane. So you take hold of the big toe, and you open the face of the hip. So you get the hip to come through, and you get the knee to lift higher and go back. So in this, the face of the hips have to come through while retaining the side plane. So in other words, you don't drop into your lower back. You don't just collapse. So once again, it'll start going like this. The hip won't want to come through. The bottom leg will want to lift. The knee of the top leg will want to come forward. This has to stay down. The hip has to come through. The knee of the top leg has to go up and back. That way you come from the outer leg to the inner through here, which is what you're after. Alright, give it a shot. This is a good one because it's like it's backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And you have to work your breath, you have to stabilise some areas, you have to go into other areas and let go. You have to feel what has to release, you have to feel what has to let go. And you point the top toe, so let go in the ankle, have the hand right up near the big toe itself. Alright, so face of the hips through, keep feeding it through, tailbone through, face of the hips through. As soon as you do this, you get more length through the side waist, which straight away will give you more lift up through your body. Work it, find it, hips through, knees got to go back past the line of the hips, and a bit higher and open out. This looks easy, but in actual fact it's quite challenging simply because of the dynamics of you have to keep the pelvis neutral, and then you have to, only on the top side you do a back bend, in the bottom side it's Tadasana, and through the trunk and through the bottom leg. Alright, very good. Let's come out and do the other side. Challenging, so give you a reference of where your body's at in terms of openness and alignment. You need both at the same time. It needs to open but still retain alignment.
That was the good side.
That was a good side, alright. Lift open out, point the top foot. The tendency here is for the top ankle, the one that's up in the air, to grip. If that grips, the front of the hip grips. You have to release the foot, and that will release the shin, release the back of the upper leg, and therefore the face of the hip will come through. You have to find those areas in yourself. You have to release the glute, the buttocks of the top leg. Release the IT band, the outside, release the quadricep, the thigh, and then work it, find it. Tailbone more under, abdominals more lifting up. Bottom leg, Tadasana, upper leg, Dhanurasana, bottom. Alright, have a little break and come out. How do we go? Most of you are getting it, some at the back of the boards and some on one side is always tighter than the other, isn't it? Yes, quite challenging, in its simplicity quite challenging. I don't like it.
That was my wobbly side.
Hey. There's always a wobbly side. One's a lot straighter, one's a lot more open. Let's come to a kneeling position, do a few bits just with the ankles and legs, do static bits. If the ankles are tight, the legs are tight. If the legs are tight, the hips are tight. So just cross the ankles and have a little toe static and sit back on the knees. Breathe into the navel. This is your emotional body. Breathe into here. It's also your Manipur chakra, the center of your energy, the center of your vitality, your hara. So breathe into here, and then once the breath is soft and relaxed there, take your awareness into the ankles and let the ankles go. Alright, let's stretch up now. As you stretch up, you lengthen the spine. You also create the bandhas, which makes the ankles lighter. Stay seated in this and do something to distract your mind so we get to stay for longer. Take hold of this one and you take the elbow and you move the elbow back behind the head but keeping the head aligned. So pushing back with your head, extending into the crown of the head, dropping the shoulders and not going too much into your lower back. A little bit but you're tucking back. So the shoulders rolling back, it's not going further down in your lower back. And breathe. Now, only if you can keep the alignment with the head, and only if you can tuck your bottom ribs back, and only if you can breathe up here and here. The breath is not caught up here. And you can take hold with this hand, and fingers, hands, and wrists. And once again, elbow behind the head. And roll both shoulders back and breathe. Once again, here's your breath. Enjoy breathing. Last one. Good, excellent. Like that up. Cold toes, all right. Have a kick with the feet. Get them feet long, slow. All right, other side. Cross the other side. Little toes touching, keeping the toes touching and sit back. So the ankles release, but they keep the length in the foot doesn't go out to the side. Sitting down again. Let's go again. Same. Opposite side. Pull the elbow back so you're getting the shoulder, all this to lengthen, but you're also getting the top of the shoulder to release, so the neck will lift out. You want this so the breath comes up the side of the head. The breath doesn't want to be restricted at any time. Soft eyes, soft bottom jaws, so you're in the space of awareness and you're not holding on. Alright, when you find that, then hand back behind, whatever works for you. Fingers, hands, wrists, shoulders rolling back. And once again, crown of the head extending. It's always a sign if things are too intense and things are getting caught that your breath is getting caught. It's always a sign also if the eyes are gripping, it means you're getting too intense in the mental side of it. You retain the one pointedness so that you retain relaxation and awareness and breathing, that means you're in meditation. This is what you're after. And releasing. And shaking the jaw. Yes. All right. There we go. All right. So now we've got into here a little. We've got into here a little bit, not so much. But we're going to go into here and open the face of the hips. So toes touching, knees apart. Knees are off to the top mat, so you've got the top groin here. Top groin's easy to open, bottom groin's hard. You want both so that the pelvis comes through. And fingers out in front. Now project the chest towards the windows across the room or the wall across the room. This means you're deepening the groin, lengthening the side waist, sharpening the sitting bones, the back muscles are releasing and the psoas muscle is lengthening. This is what you're after. It means you can breathe from here to here. Elbows if it's there for you, knees a little wider, still looking forward. Breathe. So these are the essences of forward bends. And this is everyone's favourite, the one that beginners love. You come forward, you have the edges of the feet together, the soles of the feet, you come forward and the face of the hip towards the floor. So, take it nice and slowly, push the soles of the feet together and let the face of the hips come through. Okay. Any form of posture or body work means the pelvis has to open a little, the face of the hips have to open. It's challenging, because everything we do in life tightens. Breathing, push the soles of the feet together, edges of the feet in contact with the floor, and face the hips through. And breathe. And we're all doing such a fabulous job. Lift your feet up and give yourself a clap.
Yay.
Ah, perfect. Perfect.
Hooray.
When's the last time you clapped your feet? When you were a child, babies do it all the time. They put their feet everywhere in their mouth and always doing things. People always think photos. And going down and coming back. Sitting back, yeah. It's not one of the most pleasant. But, prevent. One more, or is that a change? One more. All right, let's go straight in again. It's always good to do at least two if you get a chance to. The first one's always a bit sort of challenging, but anything where it's tough. Breathing. So same, glutes have to release, IT bands have to release, quadriceps, and then pelvis through and face of the hips. So it's a bit has to release before you get space from the unit. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Keep pushing the pads of the toes together, keep pushing the inner heel together, keep the whole sole of the foot in contact with the other one as much as you can. And this will help to feed the energy all the way through from your navel through the inner leg and therefore open out the face of the hips. And once again, fabulous job. Good. Yes.
Not very loud.
Not very loud. As loud as you fucking in the RFU, that's for sure. Alright. Yes. Feel I like the electrical, don't you? Alright. Couple of stand bosses you said, Jen. Great idea. I like it. I think exactly the same. Huh? Alright. So the legs, the pelvis is neutral now. This is long. We've got good action here. We've got this so these can drop so the arms can straighten. We've done a lot of positive things. So trick on asana, classic posture. It can be done many ways. I'm going to do it this way. Sort of the waist under the shin and under. So stepping out to the right, we're going together, step out the right side, left foot turned in, right foot turned out, the heel of the front leg lines up with the arch of the back, your pelvis is neutral to the edge of the mat, tailbone under, bottom ribs back. You try and keep the pelvis neutral, with both legs locked in. Hand on the front thigh, and other hand above the head, and then as soon as it's up there, rotate it and place your face on the inside of the upper arm, the cheek of your face on the inside of the upper arm. And then slide the bottom hand down, continue to keep that alignment so the crown of your head is projecting or extending to the upper hand. And the upper arm is straight. Breathe. Sliding down, lifting out. Alright, inhale coming up to centre. And other side, right foot in, left foot out. And squaring off, tailbone under, the same as what we just did, face of the hips through, legs locked in. Hand on the front thigh, other hand above, place the cheek on the inside, look up on the inside of that arm and slide the bottom hand down. Maintain your alignment, maintain your breath. Pull the top shoulders down, both shoulders down, keep sliding the bottom hand down and breathe. And inhale back up to centre, both feet parallel. Go back into the first side again, first side. Turn it in, turn it out, square it off, lock in the bandhas, hand on the front thigh, lock in the bandhas, lock in your breath, and then slide the bottom hand down, look up and breathe. And coming back up to centre, same. Right foot in, left foot out. Or in other words, changing sides. Tucking under, tucking back. I said that like Alex, changing sides. Slide the bottom hand down. And coming back up. Both feet parallel. Alright. And stepping back to the front. What did you notice? Have a little shake. Ha 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 ha. What did you notice about the second time we did that?
More stability.
More stability. So everything's locked in all the way through more. What else? I agree. What else?
Go down further
Go down further. And what else about going down further?
without collapsing the hip.
Yeah, the quick stays hip, the hip stays quick, yeah, that's it. And you go down further, but you also go down further quicker. Did you notice that? The transition is quicker, you go in quicker, because the muscle groups, the bulking muscle groups release and everything's open, it's just this smoother starting all the way through and you go further, that's right. And with more stability, so it's the beauty of doing things a couple of times. I've got a little present for you. So we'll add to this. So what we were doing before, so we'll grab a big block and stagger yourself from the person in front of you. So offset yourself. For forward bench, you want the lower back position, you want the depth in the groin, same as what we're doing before in the forward bend. So this, you can take the feet this wide, blocks out of here, and you dish your lower back in, the toes are turned in, the heels these are turned slightly in, so there's a lot of action here, and you try and keep the outer heel down, so there's a lot of scope in the ankle. And the block's just a little bit out from the shoulders. You push your buttocks back behind the line of the legs, so you get the back groin here, and then you get this tilting effect and the deepening, lengthening, and tilting. So this will give you the chest forward, shoulders rolling back. So we'll start off with this. Set yourself up if you need to. If your back ends up like this, at this height, then you come up high. Another block underneath, you come up high. And then it will give you the length through here. You need the front of the body, you need to release the back. So set it up so it works for you. Sitting bone sharp, length through here, back muscles releasing, buttocks back behind the line of the legs. And the width of your legs is such that if you could, the crown of the head will touch the floor underneath your feet. So in the line of your feet, so underneath your hips. That's how wide you take your feet. So it's not like sideways splits. Did you want to tuck your bottom back a little? No, tuck your bottom back a little. That's it. So you're not so deep in your lower back. All right, all good with this?
Yeah.
All right. Now from here, we're going to go walk this around to here and take hold of this and square off. Fingertips. Fingertips. Square your trunk off so that you can project your trunk so the blocks to the outside of the foot, which is hard. Come up higher if you need to. Now project your chest over the top of the foot. That's it. Keep lifting out, lifting out. Dish your lower back in still, don't let it. And move your chest through and roll your shoulders back. So you're tending to look halfway up the wall, not to the floor level. Alright, come back to centre. Ho ho ho. What do you think of your present? Lift out, realign before you go back in the other hip. So you reinstate the other hip, make sure it's still there. And then go around, second side, square off. Keep turning your toes in and release the outer leg, you work the inner, you lift the trunk out, square off. So you're trying to project your chest right along the edge of the mat. And you're trying to get the chest through and roll both shoulders back. And come back to centre. Lift out again. And reinstate the feet, turn them in a little more. So you work the legs, the outer leg and get the inner. And then going first side again. Block all the way around. And try and project your chest over the top of the block and roll both shoulders away. Dish your lower back in so that you get the front of the body long. And that's it, coming out, back to centre. And second time, second take, and then we're out. How are we going? Pretty good in the legs, isn't it? Oh, oh, oh. No one wants to say anything. Set it up on the other side, lift out. Work both legs, particularly the back leg, the one that's furthest away from the block. And back to centre. And inhale coming back up. Stepping back. So what was your experience of that? Huh?
Great stretch for the hammies.
Great stretch of the hand. It's all the way through the hips up here, isn't it? And it's a lot through here. Legs are good.
Tense in the ankles.
Intense in the ankles, yeah. A lot more mobility. Shoulders there. All right. Here we go. Good openings. If you're menstruating, Seperate. Here it is here. If you're menstruating, Seperate. If you're concerned about so the legs aren't above the hip for any period of time, Seperate, a little bridge on a block. If you're concerned about your neck, beat burrito, Carney, half shoulder stand, and you come down, you come out of these, both of these, you set up, block, you hug, you roll. Otherwise, shoulder stand, we'll go shoulder stand, which is Samangasana, then a forward bend out of shoulder stand, which is Halasana, and then a back bend out of shoulder stand, which is Seperate out of shoulder stand. And then we'll come roll out. So this way you take the back of the t-shirt so you get the hand on, and you roll back. Worm your way up on the crest of the shoulders, push down, lengthen the front of the body, and release the back. And as you do, you get your hands further up your back and get the whole hand in contact with the back. Point your toes, it's easier. Dorsal flexing will give you a stronger alignment, but you'll also shorten if you don't have your open. So point at this stage. 20 breaths. And then from there, Halasana, feet back over the plough. If this starts to go into your neck at this point, stop and just hover there, or you can roll out, or you put your feet on a cube or a barrel or a couple of blocks or something. And then you, if you're more open all the way down, you lock your arms in. Have the little fingers extended, the thumbs extended, so you have the base of the hands together. This way you get directly between the shoulders and breathing. So Halasana, 10-15 breaths. Seperate. You stretch back behind you, you point this toe, the emphasis on this foot coming down. It's a long way down. And for most people, it's their backs are tight. And you have to form a little shelf for your hand, and this will take you further in between the shoulder blades. Once you get this foot down, you can walk it out, or if you're just starting, you feel your way, you go the other side. Once you're down, you turn the toes in, kick the heels out, push down. This means you have to work more between the shoulders and release the neck more and more bandhas. Then you walk your feet out, toes touching, heels apart, and a lot of action through the arches of the feet. Seperate, little bridge. Out of Samangasana, out of shoulder stand. You come out, you come back, you can step out, which is easier, or bouncing out's a bit harder. You have to work your breath and your hips. Come back out, palms facing up, and rolling out one breath at a time, one vertebra at a time, keeping the head on the floor, shoulders rolling back, and keeping the arms straight so that this rolls back. When you're down, a couple of sides. And again. All right. Set yourself up and choose something that works for you. If you're menstruating, if you're worried about your neck, or if you do the posture or what the abbreviations are. If you want a cube, grab a cube. If you want mats under your shoulders, grab those. If you want a strap, grab that. And then roll in. Get used to worming your way up onto the shoulders and getting your hands further up your back, which is towards your shoulders, and your elbows further in, which means primarily you're getting more between the shoulder blades and you're getting more of your cover effect into the neck. Once you're in it, toes touching, once again it's an inner rotation of the femur bones. And resting in it, just getting the breath nice around the thyroid, parathyroid. soft eyes, soft bottom jaw, long breath, fluid breath. If your feet start to get a bit sort of had enough, you can just point and dorsal flex. You can do a few things like that. The ankles tend to get a bit tight. And maybe through being further away, a bit sort of pins and needly. Alright, let's go into halasana. Feet back over the head. Keep your toes together all the way down, so you work your bandhas and you keep the length through the side waist and you regulate the exhale as you go down. When you're down, you interlace the hands, stretch away, worm yourself further up on the crest of the shoulders and push between the shoulder blades. You're trying to get the shoulders to roll back more so you find the neck, and then the neck lifts out more. Breathe. Another 3 breaths in halasana. Try and work into your arms as much as you do the legs. Halasana plow, so it means really the pelvis should be neutral, the spine should be neutral. Whatever's happening on the leg side is the same on the hand side, the arm side. So work where it's not working. Alright, then from here, Settlandasana, hands back on the back. And stepping back up. And you start to feel your way back over. You have to form a little shelf for your pelvis before you step back. And you have to keep on getting between the shoulders. Now bend the foot that's coming over the back as much as you can. Point the toes so you feel for the floor. Feel your way down. Once you're down, toes in and heels out. So you work the inner leg, you work the back groin, you work the pelvis through. If you're still feeling your way, just go one side, then go the other. Right, once you're down, once you get the opening back into the shoulder girdle, then walk your feet away. Continue to kick the heels out and take the toes in, which means you work the arches of the feet, you work the shins, and you work the back groin. Yes? Your toes touching your hand? She wishes. Hard to keep the toes touching, hard to keep the feet apart, heels apart. You have to keep the bandhas, the tummy sucking back so the breath goes right up into the inside of the trunk. Okay, walk back in and step or bounce out. Inhale, exhale, feet back over. Then feet back over the head, lower, and then palms facing up so you roll your shoulders back as you roll out. And use your tummy muscles, use the back of the head, use your shoulders rolling back. And when you're down, couple of very nice sighs. How fabulous does that feel? It's like you cleared stuff that you didn't even know was there, and it's like, oh, it feels so good. And it's like nothing else exists, just space, and you're in the middle of that space enjoying it. And again, another deep sigh. That's alright. Thank you. Yeah, it was good, it's all good. Why is someone helping? Alright, coming back up to centre. Fish. We'll do straight leg fish today. Toes touching, heels apart. Front part of this is a forward bend, this is the back bend, this supports this. So you sit on your hands, toes touching, elbows as close as they go to each other. Lock your legs in, dorsal flex your feet this time, so toes back to the shins. Deepen your lower back and then get in between the shoulders as much as you can. Inhale, exhale so you clear the throat, head back and breathing. Open the mouth, breathe through the nose. Soft eyes and take your head to the floor. If the openness is there, take it all the way to the floor. But don't flatten your back bend, the posture is flat. And then inhale, lift, clear the palate, slide your buttocks back between your wrists, slide your hands out and drop everything. And again. And last one. And a final twist before we block under the heads to keep the spine aligned. Point the bottom toe, turn onto your side, tip of the toe behind the knee. The back hand's a stop sign so you can roll the shoulder back. More emphasis on getting this arm down than getting the knee to the floor. And pushing down on your head, lift, roll the shoulder back and then take the bent knee to the floor with your shoulder back. And breathe. And back to center. Set up on the other side. Tip of the toe, just the tip of the toe. Push down with your head, lift your shoulder girdle, roll it back so you've got plenty of rotation in your upper trunk. Elbow to the floor, hand to the floor, and then start going into the hips and into the breath and breathe. Keep letting go, keep breathing, letting go, breathing, letting go, breathing. Another 3 breaths, 1, 2, 3, and back to center, square off, and hug your knees to your chest, roll gently on your lower back as you breathe. And lying back for relaxation. Head on a blue cushion, eye bag on, blanket and resting. Fabulous job. You're aware of sounds outside the room. Aware of sounds in the room. Feel your breath entering and leaving the base of the nostrils. Deepen, strengthen and lengthen the breath so you give it a sound that you can hear with your external ear. And this will bring your awareness back into the physical body and the three-dimensional world. And then gently moving your fingers and your toes. And rolling to the right side, coming to an upright sitting position. You finish together with a couple of palms. Exhaling the air, long inhale. And gently open your eyes. Fabulous job, everyone. And once again, thanks very much for coming in. It's great having practice with everyone. You know. and everyone together, and it'll be so much appreciated by people everywhere. You know, everyone that's everywhere these days, and being able to once again be in the room with everyone and just bounce around and have a practice. And for the new people, if there's people that are sincere about a holistic practice of yoga, they can see, you know, how it works. That you don't have to be too serious. You can enjoy yourself as well as work hard, as well as have a good time, but stay focused on what's happening. But you know, not treat yourself too, as Clint Eastwood says, to treat the work seriously and yourself lightly. It's a hard one to do. Treat the work seriously, whatever you're doing, focus on that, but yourself lightly. You have to be able to separate and allow things to just not catch, not bind, not make you an intense person, not make you too sort of, and locked up in all this yoga jargon and stuff. Yoga is breathing and being more conscious and being in tune with your energy and the energy of the universe. So thank you very much so much. We'll have a cup of tea. Thank you.